Okay, Adonis, I am going to show you the difference between positive, negative, zero slope, and undefined slope. Um, so first of all, anything that has this kind of a slant to it, like these first four, 1, 2, 3, 4, where they're not a straight vertical up and down, or it's not straight horizontal, which is left to right, these are all going to have a slope because they all have a certain amount of steepness. So to find the slope, we're going to do this thing called rise over run. So we find a point on our line and we literally will count up or down and then over, so left or right. So this is the rise. It's also called the change in y values over the change in x values. So if I were to go from this point to this point, I would rise up 1. So that's a positive direction when we go up. And I would run over to the right 2. So those are both positive directions. If I were to do this the other way around, and let's say I go down 1, which is a negative, and to the left 2, those are both negative, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So it's still 1/2. So these are the same. So that is a positive slope. Anything that looks like it's kind of going uphill is positive. The y values are increasing as the x values are increasing. So that's positive. Number 3 is also a positive slope. Our rise is 1 and our run is 2. So that is a positive slope of 1/2. When you look over here at number 2, this looks like it's going downhill, or as the x values are increasing, the y values are decreasing. So this is going to be a negative slope. And if I were to do the same counting with the rise over run, let's say I start here and I go down, which is a negative direction, 2 spaces, and to the right, which is a positive direction, 2 spaces. This entire thing, -2 divided by 2, is equal to -1. Now, if I want to go the other direction, let's say I go up 2 spaces, that is positive. To the left 2 is negative. So you can still see 2 divided by -2, it's still -1. So these are negative slope. Number 4 is also a negative slope. And if I start at this point up here, I can go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I went in a negative direction 5 spaces, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, a positive direction 4 spaces. So that would be a negative slope. -5/4 is our slope for this. So you asked me about zero slope and undefined. So a zero slope is like this one here, number 5. There's literally no change. As the x is increasing or decreasing, all the y values are staying the same. So if I look at each of these points, like this one right here, that's at 2 and -1. This point right here is at 3 and -1. So you can see the y values are not changing at all. So I'm going to write no change in y values. That's a straight line or a zero slope. So think of it as a flat. You're not going uphill, you're not going downhill. It's flat. You're not changing at all in the y values, which are these that are going up and down or vertical. Now the other one is called an undefined slope. That's like number 8. This is undefined. And that's because it is going straight up and down. See this? Straight up and down. Now here, the y values are the only thing changing. The x values are all the same. All the x values for this are 0. So let's just say I have 2 points on here. I want to show you another reason why we call this undefined. I'm just going to pick 2 points. This point is 0, 3. And this point here is 0, -2. So if I were looking in the change in y over, divided by, change in x. Let's look at this. So our change in our y value from 3 to -2. I could say this was a change of -5. Now, a change in 0 to 0, that's 0. So for my slope, I literally have -5 divided by 0. And if I show you on my calculator, which is my phone, we're going to do -5 divided by equals an error. So there is no, it's undefined literally because this is an error. When we try and do anything divided by 0, we get this error message or undefined. The difference over here with that 0 slope, watch what happens here. So if I do change in y divided by change in x, the change in my y values this time from -1 to -1 is 0. And the change in my x values from 3 to 2, say that I subtracted 1 to get there. And then if I take my calculator, which is my phone, and I do 0 divided by 1 or -1 or anything, it's 0. So 0 divided by anything is 0. I could do 0 divided by 8, 0. So this is called 0 slope when it is a horizontal flat line. You're not going up or downhill because there's no change in the y. And this one is undefined because we literally cannot divide by 0. Anything divided by 0 is undefined, or you will get an error message on your calculator. Try it out yourself. I can send you some practice if you want. Just let me know, and I hope that this has helped.